And nobody on the stage, aside from the actors, knew that I'd written the song. So I'm on the stage as everyone's shooting it, and the song just keeps getting played over and over again to the point where everyone on the stage, the crew, is just sick of it, so sick of it, and people are just wandering around, just cursing the song, like, "Oh, this is horrible,
no.
man! I hate the song so much. This is awful. Oh, if I ever find the person who's responsible." And I was like,
A más de 20 años del estreno del Señor de los Anillos, pudimos volver a la Tierra Media de la mano de La Guerra de los Rohirrim, película dirigida por Kenshi Kamiyama y producida por Peter Jackson y Philippa Boyens. La banda sonora de esta peli fue concebida por Stephen Gallagher, compositor y editor de sonido neozelandés, quien tuvo la enorme gentileza de acceder a una entrevista con nosotros. Desde El Hobbit y hasta Get Back, hacemos un recorrido por su reciente obra.
No, thanks to you.
Thank you very much.
To accept the invitation is
of course.
Like I said in the very first message. It's like I'm sorry for my boldness, because it's like, I mean, I added you to Instagram, and I say, okay, what kind of list? And I talk to you, and I say, let's do it.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. That's awesome.
So thanks to you.
Hey, just so you know, I'm recording audio on my side, so at the end of the interview, I can send this to you, just so you've got the audio stream from here, if that's helpful.
Great. Yeah, sure. Beautiful.
Cool.
Thank you very much for that.
Excellent.
Well,
no problem at all.
Here we are.
Here we are.
I have to mention something that I saw. I believe I saw it yesterday. First of all, I have to say that my English is not that good, so apologize in advance for that.
Oh, you have nothing to apologize for at all. It's really, really great to talk with you.
Well, no, it's great to talk with you. And I saw that you were reading an Argentinian.
Yes.
Yeah, you were.
Mariana Enriquez.
Are you reading?
Oh my goodness.
Mariana Enriquez.
Yes, she's amazing. She's a genius. Someone introduced me to her book, The Dangers of Smoking in Bed, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was just so knocked out by it. And I've read it a couple of times, and it's such great writing. And then a couple of days ago, I was in my favorite bookstore here in Wellington, New Zealand, called Unity Books.
Yeah.
And they had The Dangers of Smoking in Bed as like a recommendation that one of the staff members had made. And I asked them, I said, could you tell me, whoever recommended that book, what else would they recommend me to read? Because I love that book. And the person who recommended it came over and said, oh, do you know that she has other books? I said, no, what, really? So she pointed me to, Sunny Place for Shady People, and I'm just started it, and it's magnificent. It's magnificent. Is she well known in Argentina?
Yeah, she well known, and she started to do collaborations with other artists. I think last year, one of her novels was illustrated, so it's like a graphic novel of one of her writings. So
oh my goodness,
you have to get.
I will absolutely get that. Do you know that thing when you discover if it's a musician or a writer or a filmmaker or something that you just love their work and get excited about what they're putting out into the world. Yeah, I absolutely deeply loving her writing, and I can't wait to read everything she's written. So if you've got actually on that, if you have recommendations for other authors or other books to check out, man, I'm up for it.
Great, we can have a different podcast for that.
Of course,
writer's recommendations.
Yeah, I love it. I'm happy to it.
And it's probably maybe a sign. It's like a predestination to different Argentinian related things in your month. I mean, it has to be a sign, or you have to come here probably.
I think you're right. I've never been to Argentina. I would love to come, actually. And maybe that's another podcast where we just get recommendations for things to do and see in Argentina. Excellent. I'd love to.
So, well, very good.
You have to excuse me today. I'm a little sick, so my voice is a little wavery. So thank you.
Thank you. So the thing is that I think I mentioned that we have a podcast. We started last year, and we try to grab a subject, a theme that is like if you like, we're getting into the mode of today, like the leitmotif of the podcast, and we use a thing, and we start to search in different artists, but not only in modern artists, but in history or classical music or modern music, pop music or whatever, and try to have like a travel through all those music using that. I mean, for example, let's say we talk about love and the approach of love since, I don't know, ancient Greek or whatever. But the thing is that we started this month, because it's a special month for the Tolkien crew, because it's the Hobbit day, and it's also the month of the passing of Tolkien. And we decided to do like a journey through the Tolkien's music, and of course, you are part of that incredible work right now.
Yeah, that's actually quite wild to think about that. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's odd hearing that you're part of it, though. it's odd, but it's amazing to be part of as well. And I love the idea of what you're talking about in your podcast. So it's like an exploration, walking through the environment or walking through the world, exploring. Oh, well, this is a privilege to be part of it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's our privilege. And well, of course, at first, because we're interviewing you, can you tell us about yourself and your professional career?
Sure. Well, I'll start from the beginning. My name is Stephen. It's nice to meet you. I'm a composer and music editor. I live in New Zealand. I was born in New Zealand. I haven't always lived here, but I started exploring music when in my kind of early teens, and was really into rock music, joined bands, played in bands. Loved like film, but really never thought there was a career in music and film until I think there was a piece of music I heard as a teenager in my music class that blew my mind and changed the way I thought about music. And after hearing that, it was a piece by an American composer called George Crumb, and that made me want to write music. So then I went to university to study composition. And while I was in university studying music, the theater and film department was across the road from the music school. Mm-hmm. And there was a girl at the theater and film department who I had a really big crush on. So one day when I was talking to her, I said, she was talking about a project that she was working on as a theater project. And I said, well, maybe it needs music, and I could do the music for you. I've never done music for theater at all in my life. And but she said, sure. And that was a turning point, because writing music for a visual story where the music was part of the fabric of the journey of the story was kind of a revelation. And the people that we were working with were amazing. They were excited by the same kinds of things I was excited by. And suddenly all of this, these kind of things, like the things that I liked about George Crumb, things that I liked about studying music, things that I liked about narrative and storytelling, all seemed to coalesce and into this experience. And I think that was pretty much the moment where I thought, oh, well, if there's a way to continue doing this, writing music as part of an experience, then I would like to do more of it. And yeah, that's kind of a and then so and then so I did lots more theater, lots and lots of theater. I would do like very low budget indie films, low budget student films, no budget films, whatever, whoever would have me work for them, I would work for them, just for the experience. At the same time, I started work as a composer assistant to a gentleman called David Long here, who was working on a TV series, and was he used to be in a band called the Mutton Birds, and they were like a big band in New Zealand. And he taught me so much about writing music to screen. At the same time, I started work as a sound effects editor at a TV production company. And so these kind of two parallel careers sort of started, one in sound and one in music. And then the sound one sort of morphed into music editing when I started, which was a career I had no idea existed until a friend of mine said, we need some help with the music for this film that we're working on. And I know that you're a big fan of the composer we're working with. So would you come and maybe help, see if there's a place for you to help out?
Yeah.
And the film was a film called The Lovely Bones, and the composer was Brian Eno,
Wow.
who's like one of my absolute heroes. So that was the first time I worked as a music editor, and which was pretty fortunate.
It's like a big step also, because
it was huge because it was terrifying, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I learned a lot from working on that film and working with Dame Fran Walsh, who was the producer. One of the, she'd also, I think, helped write the script. She's an incredible filmmaker and an amazing ear and feel for what music can do to scenes. So working with her was amazing. She's incredible. And yeah, so I was very lucky to have to work with these people and sort of learn so much about music. Still learning today. But that's a really brief kind of rambling overview of
there was a phrase that I always like to remember from a talk that I attend one time from one sound editor from cinema, and he said, "Okay, guys, the first thing that I have to tell you, I have to be honest with you, I know nothing." It is.
I like this.
But I like to guess. I like to. I like to work, and I like to find out how to do things. So that's pretty much the key. You were talking about the different paths. First, starting on music for theater, and also and then for cinema, and later as a music editor. What do you prefer? Do you prefer editing? Do you prefer composing? What is your more like? Where do you feel more comfortable?
Cool, comfortable. I don't feel comfortable. Well,
at all.
I don't. No, honestly, I think if I feel comfortable, there's probably something wrong. I really like doing both. They both operate in a similar environment, but they're quite different disciplines or crafts, I guess. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. I honestly, I like doing both, and both are great um, environments to learn and to experiment. So yeah, I don't have. I'm sorry, I don't have a favorite.
No.
I love them. I love them both. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
it's. I guess they're quite different approaches to. Yeah, honestly, no. I guess I'm trying to think, and I honestly, I like doing both very much. So I don't have a preference, and if I can keep doing both, I'd be very happy.
Great. That's the best answer.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question? How did you get into podcast? How did you get into podcasting? Like, what was the
Like
how
we did it, how we started on that.
Yeah, what was your motivation for starting it?
Oh, well, with my girlfriend, we're both conservatory students here in Argentina. I'm finishing, if odds are correct. Next year we'll finish our studies.
Amazing.
Me as a composer and she as a violin player.
Oh, incredible! Well, this is great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what inspired you to get into music? What was your inspiration to get into writing?
To get into writing, when I started to study piano, I'm a piano player. I started with bands. I'm playing keyboards, and I'm a big fan from Deep Purple, and I love that sound. And
that distorted organ.
Yeah, lovely. The harmonium is like the best. And we started to, we love music, and we started to listen, not only the music itself, but analysis and podcasters and YouTubers. And we found out that there is a lot of people which are very good journalists or people that understand music or whatever, but they're not musicians. And there are a few things that they don't quite get. Because the perspective of a musician, a composer, a performer, or whatever, is different, and it's like, okay, this is correct, but I'm missing something. Is something there that I really want to delve deeper into, or whatever? And we said, why? We like to do this. Why don't we start to start a podcast and talk about this and create like bridges? That probably is the second approach between different music. Usually we have like a big split between the classical and the popular and all of that. I don't know. And that was like, it's music, and we can
right? Yes,
we can bond them together.
I love this.
Yeah.
And honestly, thank you for doing this, because it needs to be done more. And I love lots of things in what you said, especially like when you're a keyboard player and you came into like Deep Purple, because things like that. That's how I started as well. I'd like in bands and being obsessed with synthesizer sounds. Yeah. For me, it was Duran Duran, because when I was really young, I saw a lot of their videos. There was a time where synthesizers were kind of all pervasive in music videos, and it was just looking as a kid, just looking at these weird boxes, going, "What do they do? What's making those weird sounds?" Yeah, totally.
Like,
but something else that you said that tons of fun. Always. But what you said about bridging the gap, or the perceived gap that people have between classical and pop music, is really important for me, because I thought they were like polar opposites, or just tenets that were it's so far away from each other. But going to music school, there was a lecturer who changed my mind about that, who said that these things are actually closer and more intertwined than you think. And as you say, it's music, and he sort of highlighted all of the ways to look at pop music, classical music, the ideas that they share, the approaches that they share. And for me, anyway, that because I always felt classical music was exclusive, and I wasn't in the club, so to speak.
Sure.
But he kind of opened the door and said, "No, we
sometimes."
Yeah, it feels like that, right? And I think that's disappointing that it feels like that, because there's so much. This just sounds like, a silly thing to say, of course, but there's so much incredible music, and it should be open to everybody, anyone. It's yeah. I'm so sorry. But I wish you all the best for your for graduating next year. That's I have one more sort of question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
No, please.
What is there? Is there like a piece of music or composers that made you want to write music? So I get that you played keyboards, but and John Lord is such a master. But what was the transitional point where you were like, "Oh, I'm going to go and study"?
Probably when I listened for the first time the Concerto for Group and Orchestra from Deep Purple. It's like one of the main works of John.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, you said that the thing that, okay, I'm not part of that club, the classical.
Yeah, that's it.
Club. And when I listened to that, and that idea to mix in the rock bands from the 70s, I mean early 70s, because it's from 69. Yes. And the orchestra, and that like the clash of two different worlds, at first competing, at second in the second movement, like lowering the things, and on the third creating a massive thing, an amazing thing with different timbres and possibilities. And it's like, that's the thing. Probably that was one of the first cues, if you like. The second one was, and that's why maybe this chapter, this episode is so important. That was the Howard Shore music. I listened to the first, to the album from the original soundtrack from the Fellowship of the Ring. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm not sure what, because I have no knowledge. I have no idea of like motives of orchestra or whatever. But I was like, I have a connection with that music. This is amazing. I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. And that started to grow and develop. And I said, okay, maybe I want to play the instrument. I start to play piano, keyboards, and bands. And later with years, okay, maybe I want to know what is this. I'm playing things. Probably this is a scale. I don't know. This is which type of chord. And what is this? And then I started studying.
So this is amazing. This is great. I love this. And it's a great score. I mean, that's a fantastic.
It's amazing.
Do you have any favorite moments from that score that you still listen to and think, oof, yeah?
I have a lot, because once you started to study and to know the things that he's doing with the little things. I mean, for example, there is a few things when you start to study music. For example, I don't know, parallel fifths are forbidden.
Yeah.
And you can't. and then you go to Moria and to the bridge of Castle Doom, and the singing of those low voices on parallel fifths. And he's saying, okay, we use this this thing to have like an expression of that culture. And I say, okay, I mean, I didn't know that. We can use that as a resource. And okay. I
incredible, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's probably my favorite part of the film, that entire sequence in Moria.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Because I remember I remember when I first saw it, I just sort of lost my mind, actually, about that entire sequences.
I mean, I have to ask. So I mean, of course, the Lord of the Rings film, like a breakthrough in my life. But also the books, because at the same time I started to read the books and to get marvels about the writing, about the characters, about the story, about everything. And there is also music in those books, because Tolkien wrote a lot of songs, a lot of music, anthems, etc.
Yes.
Do you have a connection with Tolkien's works as a reader?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little. It started when I was about 10 years old, and so a number of things kind of happened at the same time. First thing, I was 11 or 12. No, 10 or 11. And our teacher at the time would read to us. And she read us The Hobbit. And
at school, you say?
Yeah, at school. She would, like, every day, she would read a chapter of The Hobbit to us. And that was, like, amazing. So that was, like, this story's incredible. And you always looked forward to, you know, that time of the day when you'd be read to. And being read to is, I love it. I love being read to. But it's not something that people don't read to me anymore. I have to go and listen to audiobooks. So I get to read to I used to read to my kids. Now they're maybe, I would still love to read to them, but maybe they would not think it was so cool because they're a little older now. And but so she would read to us every day. Yeah. She would read to us, and that was amazing. And at the same time, we had computer studies, and one of the things we were engaging with in computer studies at school was a Hobbit game. And it was like a text prompt game, but based on the Hobbit, which we'd been, you know, getting read to us. So we're engaging with it as a story. Now we're engaging with it as a computer program and having to navigate via text prompts our way through the story. And that was an amazing kind of experience, because you had to think in the terms of the story, in the languages of the story, in the terminology and mythology of the story to successfully navigate your way from start to finish.
Yes, totally.
And because it was a text prompt, it was quite a different way of engaging with a computer program than, you know, I guess, playing a you know, a character or anything like that, so there was that. So those two things happened, and then I left. I moved out of New Zealand, and our family moved to Fiji. And Fiji is an amazing country. Fiji has, at the time, did not have any like television or anything like that. And I'm meeting a whole lot of new people. And one of the things that a lot of the people that I was meeting were really into was Dungeons and Dragons. And so I learned how to play that, and I was like, this is amazing. And it's actually kind of like being as an extension of The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, well, the next obvious thing to do here is read Lord of the Rings, which I did. And it blew my mind. I was like, how can this exist? Like, how? And then Fiji didn't have TV, but they did have video stores, like video cassettes. So this is how old I am. So we found
I live that. Don't worry. I live it.
And then we found the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's it. I loved it. Yes, and I miss that. I miss walking into those stores and looking at the covers. And we found the Lord of the Rings animated movie, and I watched that.
Ralph Bakshi. Yeah,
that's the one. That actually terrified me, because then the orcs show up, and it's kind of like, you know, everything's kind of
it's kind of creep the entire.
It's so creepy.
Dark.
Yeah, but I thought it captured something of the book, the sort of the heaviness and the creepiness. Yeah, so that was kind of like, and that was sort of over a period of 2 years. It was all sort of immersing into that world, and that felt like that feels really, I mean, still really like a big deal. And then when I was living back here, and we heard that Peter Jackson was making the films, I don't think anybody, it's really hard to imagine what it was like pre that film coming out, but everybody's expectations of what it would be were, you know, because Peter Jackson, he was pretty well known in New Zealand at the time. He'd done some, you know, pretty impressive and funny films. And as much as everyone thought it would be good, I don't think anyone was prepared for how incredible it was.
Yeah,
like people were.
I think that before
away,
Lord of the Rings, the was Heavenly Creatures, right? That was
Heavenly Creatures and Forgotten Silver. Forgotten Silver was Forgotten Silver. I just saw the remastered version of it actually a couple of weeks ago to celebrate was it 25th anniversary?
Probably.
So Forgotten Silver was like a practical joke that he played on the entire country, and it was so beautiful. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. So basically, it's like a fake documentary about a filmmaker from New Zealand who invented color film, invented his own like film cameras, was making color films before anybody else in the world. And like when it was portrayed to the New Zealand public as a documentary, as this amazing sort of discovery, this was played before the internet existed as it does now. And there was still terrestrial TV, and there were like in New Zealand, there were only 3 channels, right?
Okay.
So most of the country was watching this documentary, and a lot of people believed it. I didn't actually get to watch it when it was first on TV. I can't remember what I was doing. I was elsewhere, but I do remember getting a phone call from a friend of mine saying, "You are not going to believe this. This is amazing. This guy has existed. We've somehow been forgotten from our past. He's like a national hero. He's more important than, you know." And so a lot of people bought into it. And then I think it was a week or a couple of days later, Peter Jackson and Costa Botes, the filmmakers, went on national radio and were like, no, it's all a joke. We made it up. People wanted to believe it. But most of the nation was taken in. It was like this great practical joke.
Oh, I
the
love
film
that. It's like a 2.0 Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Thing with,
it's worth checking out. The film is great. It's yeah, and it's really, really, really funny and really inventive. Yeah, I think there was that, and then there was what was the film with Michael J. Fox in it? Oh, The Frighteners, which was yeah. So even seeing all of that, I don't think anyone was prepared for how outstanding.
Yes.
When you first saw The Fellowship of the Ring, like people lost their minds, and yeah, rightly so.
and living there, did you have the urge to can I see what are they doing? I mean, I heard or probably read that people say I want to go to the Plato to see what are they doing, and probably ended up giving coffee to the actors and whatever. And did you have that? You go to the sets?
Well, no, I didn't go to the sets, but because I was in Wellington, not all of the time, but a lot of the time. And Wellington is a really small city. It's tiny. And so you would see the actors around, and you'd see them out at concerts, and you'd see them like in the cafes, or, you'd see them on the street. So it just felt like,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
look, you'd be at a concert, like you'd be at a concert in a club, and you'd turn around and like Liv Tyler would be there, and you'd be like, oh, hi. Yeah, it's just for a period, it was like, oh, okay. I was interested in the music side of it, and David Long, who I was assistant to for a while, was involved in together with Plan 9 to make the cultural music for the film.
Yeah. So
I got a little window into that, which was amazing. And those Plan 9, David Long, incredible, absolutely incredible. They imbued those films with such musical detail. It felt like those cultures were lived in, and that's kind of the only sort of insight I got at the time. But also later on, once New Zealand again is not a huge country, so it's possible to travel to some of the places where they shot, and you're like, hey, yeah. So So no, I didn't. I wasn't trying to sneak onto set and sort of like, which is actually good. That's what I should have done. It's a good idea. It would have been a good idea.
It's like a good history.
Yeah.
And how did you come to work with Peter Jackson?
I was working as a dialogue editor on a TV show, and also still doing theater because I loved doing it. So working during the day as a dialogue editor, and at night writing, doing theater, not sleeping. And then one of the people who was working in theater as a sound designer, whose work was always like astounding and incredible, was a gentleman called Chris Ward. Chris Ward was also a dialogue editor, and he was a dialogue editor on The Lord of the Rings. And at the time, I remember he was working on King Kong, or had just finished King Kong when we met. And I'd go out to Park Road where he was working and, look around. And, wow, this is amazing. And at the time, I thought maybe there would be a chance of me getting on a film as a dialogue editor. But yeah, Chris gave me a call one day, and like I said earlier, he said, "We have a film that we're working on, and we need some help with the music editing. We know that that you're a fan of the composer. It's Brian Eno. We know that you know a lot of his work. Could you come by and check it out?" So he took a chance on me. I've never been a music editor before. I had no idea that it was a thing that even existed. He took a chance on me. He introduced me to Dame Fran Walsh and Sir Peter Jackson. They took a chance on me, and I had the privilege of working really closely with Fran Walsh, as I say, and she is extraordinary. She's an amazing musical. She's got an amazing ear and an incredible musical memory, and often when we'd been in the sessions, she'd suggest trying a piece of music against a scene, and you'd be laying it up, and you'd think, "Oh no, this isn't going to work." But then she'd say, "Okay, just move that slightly here," and all of a sudden you were like, "Oh my goodness!" So you can actually hear in advance. You're thinking this. You don't even need to put the music up against the screen. You have an idea in your head of how things are going to play out and what it's going to do to the picture. That's pretty extraordinary. And
amazing.
I learned a lot from her, huge amount. So yeah, that was the first film that I worked on with Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh, and it's a film I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be sitting down in New Zealand and Brian Eno would be sending bits of music. And rather than sending finished compositions, he would send sort of almost like he'd be sending building blocks, or like almost like Lego. It was like for us to put together, which I think is an incredibly generous and trusting way to work. So that was pretty special. I feel very lucky to have been involved in that film.
In the end, seems like the working in a project as big as that, or I mean, those films are like a lot of work when you start to think about it, and it's about to start in the little things, but also in like co-working and having a great team and trusting also, and trusting to your partners or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's another thing I love about this is that it's teamwork. Like War of the Rohirrim, we had a really amazing music team, and I love every one of them, and I would love to work with them on anything, anytime. But it's about having a great team, and that was one of the continually wonderful things about working on something like that. I think film is a collaborative medium by nature, and when you're lucky enough to work with really good people, you are able to achieve things that you will be surprised by. Yeah, which, thank goodness. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. I think good team is crucial to the work.
We were talking about Peter Jackson and the whole crew, the whole group. And you have, if I'm correct, I'm not sure, but I think I'm quite correct, that you compose a few songs for The Hobbit.
You're correct. Yes,
yeah.
You're quite correct.
You are the author of On the Knives.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
How was that? Because I didn't know that until I watched a few interviews that amazing people did to you, and later on your website, I think it's On the Knife and the Torture song, probably. Yeah.
Torture song, yeah. Yes.
Both.
I love doing those.
How was that? I wasn't.
Oh man. Well, excuse me. I'll just.
Yeah, don't worry.
I have a little bit of a cold.
We're changing season here.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, we share seasons. Yes.
Yes, that's correct. So I'm not sure what it's like for you at the moment, but it's every time around this time of the year in New Zealand, there's in September typically there's a kind of a week of weather which is so beautiful that you think to yourself, spring is on the way. And then it gets dark, gets windy, gets really stormy, and all hope for spring is somewhat subdued. So we're in the stormy, windy phase at the moment. How about you?
We passed that a few weeks.
Oh, you passed that?
We're now getting into the nice and sunny days. But
excellent,
a lot of it's also the weeks and probably the months of allergies, and all around are like sniffing and
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm happy that you got good weather though. That makes me very happy. To answer your question about the Blunt the Knives song, that was it was crazy. It was a great experience. So Peter and Fran sort of said, "Do you want to take a shot at this song?" And I said, "Okay."
I mean,
and then yeah, I was like, all right. And then I freaked out, and then I had the musical. I've that book actually behind you, the music of the Lord of the Rings, had just come out, and on my very first paycheck, working on the Hobbit as a music editor, I purchased it, and I went through the whole book, and there wasn't too much information about the music of the dwarves. There's a little bit, and I mean it's but you don't really get a sense of their intimate kind of culture.
Totally.
Their folklore in that sense. So
yeah, mainly because to this time the dwarves are like it's an old civilization. It's probably lost. It's not the peak.
Absolutely. So yes, all of this. So looking around for somewhere to begin, some sort of framework or some sort of reference about what the song might be. Peter and Fran said they wanted it to have the energy of a pub sing-along. And I was like, oh, that's a really great prompt. So I thought, well, in the book, when you're reading the book and they start performing it, and you get the strong sense that this is a game that they play a lot, and they just swap out the person's name. This is something they do quite often, and they do it. So as soon as one person hears someone sing it, they're like, oh, I know what's going on, I'm going to join in. Yeah. It's like so I approached it from that idea, like this is kind of a playful kind of cultural touchstone centered around eating. Like, and it's a shared cultural knowledge that all of the dwarves have. So, okay, so there's that. And then the pub sing-along part of it, I was like, okay, well, I guess it's going to have a bit of a stomping kind of quality, like something easy to sing along to. So I wrote the tune that was pretty, almost like a nursery rhyme, actually, but kind of just simple. You know, those things that you hear in great sort of pub chants or even soccer chants, right? So it's not complex because lots of people have to sing it. It has to be immediately identifiable. And then after I'd written the music and kind of listening to things by itself, I was like, I think this could be good, but what it's missing is, like, the tune and the melody are very basic, but really what the selling point is the intent. And the intent is going to be communicated via the vocals. And the vocals are the thing that's going to sell this, because that's the quality of a good sing-along, obviously. But so I got a whole lot of my friends into the office that I was working in, around the microphone after work, a couple of beers, a couple of drinks, and we just sang, you know, into the microphone, pretended to be drunken dwarves. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was great fun. And we made the demo, and then I sent it to Pete and Fran. They were happy, and they said, "Oh, great! We'll use this." And I thought, fantastic, that's great. Take the rest of the day off. But then they said, would you be available to teach it to the cast and organize the recording? I was like, okay. Because I'd never done anything like that. I'd never taught anyone, you know, I hadn't really ever done that side of things before. And these were actors that I really liked, loved their work. And I found that whole idea really intimidating, of me in a room with them, go, okay, guys, but that was wonderful. They were all really very, very cool. And so we rehearsed the song a couple of times. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I didn't want sort of, you know, harmony or anything. I just wanted, you know,
one melody.
Really, that was it. And I kind of wanted it to be loose and rambunctious, and they nailed it. So then we recorded it, and that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. The there's a penny whistle solo in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that someone in the cast was like, "Oh, you should ask, you know, Jimmy Nesbitt plays the tin whistle, and maybe you should ask him to do a solo." And I was like, all right, cool. So I said, "Hi, Jimmy. I've been told that you play the tin whistle, and there's a little instrumental break. Would you be up for doing it?" And he said, he looked and he was like, I don't know. I'm not very good. I'm not a good player. And I was like, well, if you feel comfortable doing it, it'd be great to have you playing on it, but there's no pressure. So the next rehearsal, he turns up and he has a tin flute in his pocket, and we get up to the point, and I was like, is he going to do this? How's this going to go? He just whips it out, plays a solo, and then like goes into improvisation as well. He was ripping into that. I was like, far out. Yeah. This guy's amazing. So we recorded him. That was cool. We recorded the song. That was great. And then fast forward to when they were shooting the sequence of Blunt the Knives. I was on the stage for that because I was assisting the sound department and with playback. So it was like shooting a music video in the sense that they constantly had that song playing back and everyone was miming to it and doing the actions to the music that we pre-recorded, which was cool. And I think that's one Andy Serkis was directing as well. But Peter was on the stage, but I think Andy was directing that sequence. And nobody on the stage, aside from the actors, knew that I'd written the song. So I'm on the stage as everyone's shooting it, and the song just keeps getting played over and over again to the point where everyone on the stage, the crew, is just sick of it, so sick of it, and people are just wandering around just cursing the song like, "Oh, this is horrible, no. Man! I hate the song so much. This is awful. Oh, if I ever find the person who's responsible." And I was like, And then my friend, who was well-meaning. Some, people were coming over cursing the song. He's like, "Oh no, but he wrote it." I was like, "No." Everyone's looking at me in the lunch line like, yeah. So it went from being, "Yeah, this is great," to being, I felt like a really horrible person on the stage when people were just cursing about it when
Amazing.
But to their defense though, that when you hear that on repeat,
everything on repeat is awful.
Yeah. And the torture song was amazing because that was Barry Humphries was just incredible and so funny. And we demoed the song. He listened to it and he said, "I don't think I'd sing it like that. It would be more kind of like this." And in the end, we didn't have a demo for him to sing against or mime against. We went on to the motion capture stage, and he was dressed as the Goblin King, and I was on the side of the stage of the piano, and we basically performed the song live, and it would be different every time because he would lean into different things. So it was like leaning into more kind of your theater sports almost, like sort of tradition.
But to basics.
And that was incredible. Yeah, but he didn't do the same thing twice, which is great because you get all of this kind of like, he'd take it into places where his character thought it would go. And I think we got a much better result out of that, much more unhinged, much more true to what the Goblin King is, I think. But I think we only did like 4 takes, so we had to
you have to
make the song out of make the song out of that. And because of his performance, the backing music followed his performance. His performance didn't follow any kind of pre-programmed demo or anything like that. So there's some pretty wild tempo changes and unusual meter changes if you look at it on paper. But I think the intent of the performance was ultimately was great. And he was a pleasure to work with. So funny. And watching him become the Goblin King was it was an absolutely amazing privilege to watch that. So doing those songs was just wild, absolutely wild. So much fun, so scary. But
it's beautiful because when you think in a composer, we have like a picture of a guy sitting on a desk, a big desk probably, a few lights, and writing with a very serious face and so on. And you say this is like total fun and playing and improvising, and it's like beautiful. That's also music. Usually that picture is not what it actually means to write music.
This is true. We don't often have the idea of like the image of Beethoven just going woohoo. Oh, people are gonna love this.
I nail it.
They're like high-fiving his family. This is gonna be No, you're right. It's often.
I was expecting when with Blonde Eyes. That it's a recording, it's a tape of Tolkien singing Blonde Eyes.
Yes, there is.
And when I listened that, I said, probably Stephen listened to it and said, okay, we're going to do something. And it's amazing that didn't happen because it's like with the different path, both came to the very same place because it's pretty much similar. At one point, also, it's like banging the table when he's singing.
Yes.
That's what and he was like, amazing.
Yeah, no, that was wild. I didn't know. I felt terrible because I didn't know that recording existed, and I felt really, really amateur that I hadn't done my research as well as I thought, you know. And when that appeared, I was like, I didn't know this existed. Oh my goodness, no, But yeah, when you hear it, you're like, oh wow. Okay, cool. But that actually, I felt like we'd done him. Like I felt like what's on screen is something that he would maybe be okay with.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like
it was wild.
like a magic. You know, when you read Tolkien, he's a very descriptive type of writer, and
Yes.
you start to see everything, the characters, the places, the things,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's really interesting into read something, read lyrics, and like get into the same place that he did. It's like magic.
It is like magic, but I think it's probably a credit to his writing. It's more of a credit to him than it is to me, really, because it's just like if you can communicate that idea through your writing and through the world that you're building, and so that any you know, that some schmuck in New Zealand in 2013 can be like, oh, I think I get this. That's the sign of a really great writer, and that's the sign of someone who's got something really special. So his world building is unparalleled, I think. Yeah.
And you know, having that, it must be very, very difficult to, okay, I have the chance to compose the music of a part of his world. And
yes.
I have two questions for you. First of all,
yes,
was it difficult to work with preconceived ideas? I mean, you had a chance to get access or to reuse the Howard Shore original leitmotifs, and also with that, whatever it is, which were your first decisions as composer?
This is a really great series of questions. These are great questions. So to answer the first one, actually no, let's answer the second one first. The first decisions. Okay. So the first decisions were, this is going to sound weird, but first decisions were, what is the score going to be? Because even though that you and I are familiar with the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, and we know what they look like and we know what they sound like, and there's like, you know, hours, 21 hours of music that's been written especially for so beautifully for those films. When we saw the first images of War of the Rohirrim, the first time I saw the film, most of it was still pencil drawings. There were very few finished shots and very few shots close to being finished. But what was clear was there was a design language that looked very familiar if you're aware of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy. So the visual language looked, I mean, not necessarily the fact that it's animated, but just the visual design language looked familiar to me.
Totally.
But I didn't take it for granted that Kamiyama-san wanted the score to sound like The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. Because, well, for two things, really. One, I didn't want to, I didn't want to have any preconceptions about things before I talked to him. And I didn't want to, I wanted to listen to kind of what sort of story he wanted to tell. And also, to be honest, I looked at the budget that they had for the music and I thought, well, maybe they don't want an orchestral score. Maybe they want like a more sort of synthetic score that, you know, maybe something closer to, say, like Attack on Titan or something like that. And yeah, so the first decisions were basically trying to find out what Kamiyama-san wanted. And I made a couple of demos that were closer in style to Howard Shore's score for the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And then I made a couple of demos that were a little more on the Attack on Titan side of things.
Okay.
And he responded very more favorably to the things that were closer to Howard Shore. So the first decision was, yeah, what's the score going to be? And once we made that and we had that discussion, and we knew that the sound of the score was going to be in the same universe as Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. That was a. I mean, it seems self-evident now, but at the time we didn't want to presume anything.
That's pretty interesting because we were talking about the Bakshi film from 1770.
Yes.
And there is a quote, then Bakshi talking with the producers, and he suggested to use Led Zeppelin's music because he thought that might be good. And the producers say, I think that's not the way we get with the orchestral music. And it's interesting because here we are again, animated, Lord of the Rings. And
yes.
The answer might be
absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. It would have been funny seeing that with Led Zeppelin songs. Yeah, I mean, I'd be up for it.
Totally, ramble on.
Ramble on, absolutely. Misty Mountain Hop, I guess you'd have to fit that in there. I don't know how that would be. It would be quite a different film experience, though.
Yeah.
Kashmir, I can imagine being.
The charge of the hearing with Kashmir is a thing.
I mean, and so that was the first decision. Basically, what the world of the score was going to be, and part of that was we had the privilege of being able to use some of the Howard Shore themes. So that's a blessing and also quite a heavy thing to carry because his themes are amazing, and we wanted to be respectful to his music, the way that it was used in the film, significance of it. But we also wanted to make sure the score stood on its own 2 feet without having his music as a crutch. So we didn't want to throw his music, just through the film because we could.
Totally.
We wanted to be very strategic and very, very deliberate about where we used it. And I think us also as a composer, you're using Howard Shore's themes, and they're so magnificent that the insecurities you have, I can never write anything as good as this, and everything else is going to be rubbish, and this is going to be the shining beacon, and these are thoughts that you have. So we obviously, for us, the theme that would be key to the whole universe was the Rohirrim theme. The Rohirrim fanfare, such a great piece of music, and we first hear that in the Two Towers, and it's such a marvelous theme. And being able to use that and sort of arrange it for different instrumentation that suited the story that Kamiyama-san wanted to tell was amazing. It's incredible. So we used that. We used the Gondor theme, but that didn't make the movie because there's when Hera is kidnapped and Frelaf and Olwen go to rescue her, there was originally a sequence where Hera wakes up in the tower, opens the curtain, and there's Orthanc, and the camera does this sort of pan up Orthanc. And that's where we initially we arranged the Gondor theme for that sequence. And for that cut, I thought it played really well. But then the film got recut and that sequence got changed, and Gondor theme just didn't really feel like it fitted into that sequence anymore. But it's still on the soundtrack album.
I was thinking that when I went to the cinema and the first minutes of the film, are like, okay, this is the work of the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
We listen the Rings theme. We listen the Edoras or the writers of Rohan fanfare, and then we listen Hera's theme.
That's right.
And when I listened to it, when I first listened the fifth, the Ascendant fifth, I said Gondor. I mean, because it's like the
exactly, yes.
And it was like, okay, what?
Yeah.
And when I was listening again, I was like, no, it's not Gondor. It's Eowyn.
It's not. Yes, exactly.
And in her theme, you mix it both that fifth from Eowyn, which I think this is a theory. I can't remember if in the Doug Adams and Shore said it or whatever, but it's like Eowyn can't fit totally in Rohan. Actually, she traveled to Ithilien and met with Faramir later and so on. And that's the representation, because the champ of Rohan is the third, and the champ of Gondor is the fifth.
Correct. It's the fifth.
And it's like Hera is like the bond with Eowyn, specifically with her.
Yes.
And at the same time, you got the horse, because you have the horse again.
Exactly.
And it was like that was the first thing that hit me in the film. Was like, okay, this is amazing. So thank you for that. First of all,
thank you.
No, because I ask you that because I thought that it must be really, really hard to have a whole world of music already there, which is nowadays, I mean, 24, 25 years ago since the Fellowship of the Ring, which is now the music of the Lord of the Rings. It's too hard to think in Lord of the Rings without thinking in Howard Shore. And it
100%.
was like a big challenge, I thought.
Yes, that was a huge challenge and really terrifying and constantly intimidating. So that's one way to look at it, and that's one way I did look at it. But then and also, like my job, as any composer's job, is to serve the film or serve the story that's I'm working on, serving the story that the director I'm working with wants to tell. And Kamiyama-san was an amazing collaborator and just a really beautiful filmmaker. And as deep as someone can go into a story and into a world, he went deeper. And for me, the privilege of it was that, okay, we're working in an environment where there is hours and hours and hours of incredible music that is essentially entrenched in people's psyche as the sound of Lord of the Rings. And that means that there's all of this material that we can look at and analyze, and that helps us to make decisions about what we want to do. So in the case of the Headstrong theme or the theme associated with Hera, I wanted something that would speak to her character, her characteristics, which is kind of like, she's a maverick, right? She's very much shaped by the Rohirrim culture, but she's also she's a little more she's got more in common with Eowyn in that sense, that she's a little bit of an outsider. So I wanted something, firstly, to speak to her character, her characteristics, but then I wanted something that would, in like the DNA of it, would link in with Eowyn. So the idea about the Shield Maidens would be like generational, and sort of this is the line, basically, this Hera is connected to Eowyn in lineage. So that was really important. So that theme had to say that. And as you rightly pointed out, like that fifth is one of the kind of the signatures that connects the two of them together through time. And but then also the way that Hera's melody is shaped, you hear parts of the Rohirrim kind of, signifies, if you want that, as you say, the third. But it's sort of feels of the world and slightly not at the same time. So but I think it captured her spirit her headstrong kind of spirit. But yeah, and so basically, it was in a way, if you were starting from a blank page, that would be a lot harder to do. But because we have this incredible history of music by Howard Shore, you're like, well, this is the Eowyn theme, this is Rohan. These things are really established. What's a way that we can elegantly refer to both of them and build a character or reference a person's characteristics? What are the tenets that we would need to respect to do that? And so, in that respect, yeah, I'm really lucky because I got to work in that world and refer to those incredible themes that Howard wrote. So, blessing, really. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just finding the information and a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error. Yeah, but I'm happy that theme came out the way it did because yeah, it feels true to the world. That's when it was played on the screen. It felt true.
Yeah, I was about to ask in that when you, I mean, because we're going into the process of composing, you are not really sure about it, about how it goes,
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
works, if you can have a similar to a piece of music, when,
Yes.
when you have like a journey, the journey we were talking at first. When you sit and you watch the entire film and you listen. Your music there working with those characters, with those stories. How was that? How was that impact?
Kind of. I mean, what happened in stages? Like at the very end, when everything was played together, it was like, we did it. But throughout the process, I remember first like spending a long time trying to get Hera's theme of the Headstrong theme and then playing it against the part of the film that had been almost finished. And it felt good. And it felt like it belonged to her. And then I tried it on other sections where she's doing, she's in different emotional states or she's doing different things like fighting a wolf or running, trying to escape the Mumakil, trying faster versions of it, slower versions of it that sort of change harmony a little bit. And yeah, it felt true. It felt like it sort of grew out of the earth of where the picture was set. So that was cool. But writing and recording it as much as I try to keep a view of the entire story, sometimes it's, especially when the film's gone through multiple cuts and you're conforming. And so, conforming basically just means you're editing the music to, match the new cut of the picture.
Yeah.
I found myself losing to my shame. I found myself losing the overview of the picture sometimes, and I was like, I know in theory how this should work, but I haven't watched the film from start to finish for a while, and I'm not sure how everything's going to hang together, if that makes sense. So there was a point where we did watch it when we were on the dub stage, and it felt good, but there were a couple of things that every time I heard them, I was like, this doesn't feel good. So we took those things out. And that's just simply because once we had everything and we were happy with everything, playing the film from start to finish a couple of times, and this is with all the sound effects and everything like that, with all the things that make up the soundtrack, there were some bits that just didn't feel like they were working. And I was fortunate to be able to either take those things out or change them. So, I mean, ultimately, the first time we sat down and watched the film start to finish was like, I was happy. If I had to do it again, there would be things that I would do differently. And yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
But I think, yeah, I was pretty happy and just really, really grateful, to be honest with you. Grateful for the opportunity to do it. Grateful for the team that we had. Grateful for everything that I learned, and grateful / scared about how it was going to be received. Like if people were gonna hate it. I mean, you can't control these things, but at the same time, you're aware that you're putting something out into the universe. You're putting music out that is part of a world that people, including myself, really deeply care about. And I was slightly concerned at some point after we'd finished writing it and we sent that and it was about to go out. I was like, are people going to hate this? Are people going to be angry? And it's just kind of silly because that's not my job. And my job is basically to work on the film and do the best job I can do for the story that the director wants to tell, right? But all of these things, all of these worries, I had. But now I think about it, it's a pretty privileged position to be in, isn't it? Just to go, so I should really just shut up.
Oh, please.
The one that I was really, I remember the one that I was really most happy with because I wrote this demo, and it's the sequence where Helm rescues Hera and takes her back to the keep as they're being chased by Wolf, and then he locks her in the keep and turns around to fight Wolf's army, and the camera pulls out and he dies. I'd written that cue, which was like 7 minutes long, and I remember playing it for Kamiyama-san, and 7 minutes, and he was sitting there watching it, and after 7 minutes, it stops, and he was just sitting there silently, and I was like,
oh my God.
And he turned around and he was like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that felt really good. And the other things that felt really good, the last cue where Hera rides off into the sunset at the end of the film. We were working on that and in Park Road, mixing the music. And people would come in, like, because the dub was happening and the dub was happening on the main Theatre 2 stage at Park Road. So everyone was kind of around the building. And people would just pop in while we were mixing. And that last cue, people would pop in. And 9 times out of 10, people would like be crying. I was like, yes.
Well done.
Yes. I mean, try to keep it
professional.
Keeping it. Yeah. But and then our assistant music editor, Kiva Lane, brought her family in. And her mum was crying at the end of it as well. I was like, are you crying in a good way? Or is this something? But, as silly as it is, you're like, okay, cool. This is connecting with people. No one's throwing anything. So, yeah. Sorry, that's a rambling.
yeah, for sure. I think that was the I think that the music was the main thing that connected with me with that film, because you mentioned it, the aesthetics, the difference between animation and the characters and the actors and all of that is like, okay, I think I mean we are in the same world. We look at the designs and of course there are symbols, but the music is the perfect bridge between those worlds.
Oh, cool.
So
thank you.
For sure.
Thank you very much. It's interesting to see the animated characters, how they move, how the camera moves quite differently,
totally
isn't it? It's
different.
Yeah. That's another thing I think we were probably something I had in the back of my mind is that when we started working on The Hobbit, we had like 13, 14, 15 hours of music from The Lord of the Rings that Howard had written. And when we were first building the temp score, you know, the music that's sort of taken from other films to sort of place against images and progress so you can sort of see how music might fit. We used a lot of Lord of the Rings material on the Hobbit temp, and even though it's from the same kind of universe, it just didn't quite fit. It was like taking a really beautifully, elegantly made suit and putting it on a different person. It didn't quite fit. Totally. And I mean, there were places where it did, but The Hobbit had a lighter tone. And I was kind of aware of trying to not superimpose those things onto the War of the Rohirrim just because they were part of the canon. It had to all the music that we made had to feel like it belonged to War of the Rohirrim and the story first and foremost. And then the bigger world was a consideration, of course. But it's all for the story, and it's all about the story. And that was our we wanted to make a beautiful bespoke suit for the story to wear.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speechless.
I'm sorry, I'm rambling on.
No. This is amazing. Nowadays, I mean, thinking in your work, but also thinking in The Rings of Power with Bill McCreary, who's also working with that. And you both had like a connection, more direct or indirect, with Shore's work. Have you had the chance to talk with Howard Shore or to discuss some ideas? Or
no, I as much as I would love to do that, I didn't. I think he's amazing. Like, I think his music's incredible. And I hope at some point in the future, I would love to, talk with him. But no, I haven't had the opportunity. And the same, I'd love to talk to Ben McCreary. He's amazing. Like, the music for the Rings of Power is extraordinary. I think he's done an amazing job.
It's so great to you were recently talking about the Helms scene, the 7 minutes, and the reaction of the director, and Ben McCreary also says something very, very similar to the prologue from the first chapter of Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And he was at the phone, I think, and when he finished it, and it was silence, and he said, "Okay, oh no, I ruined it." I mean, it's so nice to see those similarities between the
my goodness.
I mean, the two composers, which are now like open the door to this new era of Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
So
it's amazing. Thank you.
So
it's always nerve-wracking though. You know what it's like when you're presenting a composition to anyone for the first time. It can be very, very 100% anxiety inducing. And it's good to know even Bear McCreary feels that, because he's extraordinary. He's amazing. I guess the nerves don't go away.
Okay, I have one final question, and it's a little bit on the side of this
great
subject, but you work on the Get Back documentary.
Yes.
What was like working with that, with the music of the Beatles and?
Unbelievable. So I grew up listening. I mean, I think like most people know who the Beatles are, and my parents were huge fans. My mum saw them when they came to New Zealand in '64,
Wow.
65. My dad was a big fan, so I grew up in a household where their music was played a lot. And I remember my parents sitting down playing a greatest hits of the Beatles, and for every song, they told me and my sister where they were and how they met each other, and basically it was like the history of their relationship, but told with Beatles songs as like compass points on the journey. It was lovely. So when you've grown up with something like that, and your opportunity to work on this project was like unbelievable. I like going through all of the anthology series, trying to find anything you can about them, because there's not too many outside of this film. I haven't ever been able to find large tracts of film where they're just hanging out talking to each other. Do you know what I mean? But now we got to see them in a fairly relaxed, well, comparatively intimate setting.
Yeah, and in a very different way to the film, to let it be.
Yes.
It's totally different.
It's totally different. And also just being able to sort of like look at how they work together as a team was extraordinary, I thought. And being, you've played in bands, I've played in bands. When you watch them, there are things that feel very true and like very relatable to being in a band, sitting around trying things out. Something doesn't work, we try it this way. It feels like I can, being in bands, you can relate to them. And the other things were just like watching them play, watching how Ringo would just listen to everybody, watching how he plays the drums. He's an amazing, incredible drummer. But and watching things that felt a little bit like drudgery and going, okay, cool. So they did have moments where things, felt a little harder. Certainly in bands, I've had that experience. You probably have too, where things aren't quite working. And it felt amazing. It also was terrifying because with all of this incredible footage, the audio that we were starting out working with was not necessarily, especially in the first part of that, was not in great condition. And it was a technical challenge to make it sound better. When we first started out, we thought maybe we'd get to a better level, but still not the fidelity that we would ideally like to restore it to. It was really only in the last sort of 6 months of working on that we got close to what we wanted to do. It felt like the entire time was running out. We went through a couple of lockdowns because COVID hit, so everything was just felt a little scary, felt a little out of control. But it also felt like at a time in the wake of COVID, my overriding memory was being really happy and grateful that I was working on something and hoping to put something out into the world that was positive and good. This felt like a great project to be involved in, because not only greatest band ever, seeing them in a way that we hadn't seen them before, kind of putting to rest that mythology about how dark things got and Let It Be and how it was awful. Like there were times of joy and fun there as well. But putting that out into the world where, we just had this with the coronavirus had just gone through, and things felt uneasy and unstable. It was a joy to work on that and to sort of be a part of the team that put it out into the world. It felt like a good time, and it felt like we were putting something positive out into the world. That was quite a privilege to feel like that. So yeah.
Totally. And
it was right.
Yeah, and a new approach to that, especially to those final years.
Yes.
The last year was Let It Be, and it's like, and that closeness that we have on the documentary was like pretty
amazing, right? The other part of it, which I have to say was really incredible, was that when Abbey Road sent the 8-track recordings of the Beatles playing on the roof, I couldn't believe how good it sounded. It was unreal. But then you go through all the tracks and listen to every single, I'd go and listen to the kick drum track all the way through, or the Rhodes track all the way through, and just be in awe about not only the performance, but the recording, the art of recording that on a rooftop in a wintry London day. Sounds fantastic. And just like I first thing I isolated was Billy Preston's keyboard parts.
Yeah, the Rhodes.
It's amazing. Yeah, oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I listen to that very often. Just man. So yeah, it was like being able to sort of look back through history, lift the lid, look into how things were working.
What a beauty. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. It was a privilege.
Totally. Stephen, I don't know where to begin to thank to you for this interview.
Oh no, thank you. It's been a privilege. It was lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for having me on your show. And I hope I get to meet you in Argentina someday. And
sure.
You should come to New Zealand. It's a good time.
Oh, be a dream.
Man, yeah. February, kind of like February, March, April is for usually the best weather. If it doesn't get too hot here, but no, you're welcome anytime. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
No, thank you. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you so much. Thank you
about this music.
Thank you.
And it's very important to say. But again,
thank you very much.
Thank you for this. Thank you very much.
Oh, Saba, thank you, and also all the best for the rest of your degree. I hope it goes great. You and your girlfriend. I hope it's a smooth and successful graduation, and I hope our paths cross in the future. Be well. I'll send you this audio that I've recorded here.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take it easy. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you there.
Conducción, Gustavo Mates. Producción general, edición de video y redes sociales, Laura Coslavaz. Edición de audio y máster, Maya Velasic.